And there's a joke here, you either leave Germany with a baby or a cuckoo clock. And I'm like, I'm cool with the cuckoo clock. So
welcome to Nerdlandia.
Welcome to Nerdlandia, a cozy little haven of creative community. I'm your host, Emily Case Buskirk. Today, we're following up with Season 1 guest Molly. As you may remember, she moved from California to Germany with her spouse Mike and their cat Max. Last time, we talked about her first 6 months living abroad. Since then, she's gotten more comfortable with her German-speaking skills and has even gotten to travel to a few different countries. Oh my gosh, Molly, you're back on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Emily. I feel like I have so much more energy this time. Like, it was like 6 months that I had been in Germany last time we talked. And that seems like it should be long enough to be settled, but I was not. So this will be fun to talk with like a little more energy and having like experienced more stuff this time.
Oh my gosh, totally. And it makes perfect sense that it would take more than 6 months to adjust to something like that.
Yeah, I know. I like to think that I'm pretty flexible, and maybe I still am. Moving to a different country like really tests you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's a good jumping off point. Like, how do you feel like you've leveled up since we recorded last time?
I feel like our German has gotten better.
Nice.
I still don't know that I don't want to be too confident and say I'm conversational, but there are a lot less awkward encounters.
Mm-hmm.
There are still plenty, but
they lessen.
yeah. And whenever they do happen, I am able to like understand quicker, like, oh, I get what you're saying. Sorry. And then I like laugh. We laugh together about it. And also like we hang out with a lot of locals at it's called the cafe. It's kind of like a pub, but it really is just like a cafe.
Oh, that's
cool.
So
they serve coffee and pastries and stuff. And then in the night, people go there for Stammtisch. And for the listeners, Stammtisch is like kind of like happy hour, but it's not about the sale of a drink, like being on sale. It's more just let's meet after work to talk for an hour or two and have a beer sort of thing.
Amazing.
So we do that. And I feel like that has helped a ton with speaking German.
Yeah.
And I've also traveled a little bit with some of my German friends. And then in those cases, I'm just listening to people have full conversations. Right. And I don't have a choice but to like try to pick up on things. I feel like most of the time I can at least understand what people are saying. I just don't always know how to respond.
Right.
But yeah, it's gotten a lot better. And also we've traveled more. So when we talked, I hadn't been out of the country, out of Germany, I don't think. And now I made a list. I've been to Brussels, Belgium, Metz, France, Basel, I don't know how you say it, Switzerland, Dublin, Oslo, Norway, and our next trip is Catania, Italy.
Oh my gosh.
And Sicily, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. You talking about your experience with being immersed into the language definitely reminds me of when I was in Germany of just being surrounded by people and kind of trying to understand and keep up with what's going on. And yeah, sometimes it's more successful than others. So. Yeah,
I always make the joke that I'm like, some days my German is on more than others. And some days it's like, I'm like, wait, what? My brain just, whatever center of my brain processes language is just not working correctly, or it's working slower. I haven't had coffee. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Also, I learned recently, like, have you heard like the bilingual joke where it's like you learn another language and it's like, BYE, like you are just suddenly like bad at your language.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically when you learn multiple languages, your brain actually like works to hold back the words in multiple languages. And I think that's also why, if you speak in another language, then maybe you'll like think of the word in Spanish instead of in German and stuff like that. I explained that really badly, and that's like a really simplistic way to put it. But I just thought that was interesting, but also like makes sense when I think about my own attempts at like learning and speaking in other languages.
No, it does make sense. And sometimes we say we're speaking Danglish because I'll say something and it's like, I've started to say, so in German, the sentence structure is like time, manner, place. So like instead of saying, I always go to the store. The way you set it up in German is I go to the store always, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I go always in the store is how you would
Oh,
say
yeah,
it in German.
yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of said that wrong, but it'd be like
That's
saying
okay.
I go immer. I go always. I just did it. I
Yeah.
just did Danglish.
Exactly. You're proving the point.
I go always in the store.
Yeah.
So I'll find myself when speaking English to Mike, I'll set the sentence structure up in like a really weird way. It's almost like the German way of doing it.
Yes.
And I'm like, did you just notice I said that like German sentence structure instead of English?
And I have talked to Germans in English, and they will set up their sentences like that, and it's really heartening. It's like really cute.
I know. It's what's the word for it? It's anyway. Sorry.
I know. I was like trying to think of the word too, because there was a word I was like also, and yeah, it's okay. We're just gonna accept that like brain rot. Endearing. Okay, yes, thank you. That was the word I was trying to think of as well.
Oh my God.
It's very endearing.
Woo.
You know, between us, we have a brain cell going.
Detour. Anyway.
So I've gotten to see some of your updates along the way, which is also super exciting. And do you feel like you're more of a real German since you have a Dirndl and Black Forest cuckoo clock now?
I do, yes. Although a lot of the Germans, and I can't speak for every German, but at least the ones in our area that I've talked to, they think it's funny. They're like, every American that lives here, they always have to go get a cuckoo clock. And so I think it might kind of be like I don't know, maybe a touristy thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if many of the Germans actually have cuckoo clocks, but it's like something that living in Germany, you've got to go do. And there's a joke here. You either leave Germany with a baby or a cuckoo clock. And I'm like, I'm cool with the cuckoo clock. So
we're going to go this direction.
I have a small one that has like little musicians on it and like little horn players. And there's a little guy with a accordion, and it's really cute.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I love
but
it.
they had one that was 17,000 euros.
Whoa.
That was the most expensive one we saw.
Translate that for me. How much?
It's probably close to $19,000.
Dang.
It depends on the day, but that's probably close. Yeah.
I feel like that has to be more of a flex. Like, who's actually buying like a $20,000?
It wasn't even cool. It was really weird too.
It's totally flex.
It was
just like the store. Like, look at this cool clock that we have.
I know.
That's worth more than your life savings.
And it's also really annoying sometimes. Like, we love our cuckoo clock, but the days where I want to fall asleep on the couch or whatever, and you wake up to like, okay, that's bad, but it's like
it's doing the thing.
Cuckoo. And I'm like, what time is it? It's 11 a.m. Oh, damn, it's going to go off 11 times. But then other times, I don't even notice it. It's weird.
Yeah.
Other times, I'm like, wait, did it go off? I don't know.
Yeah, I have relatives who had cuckoo clocks growing up, so it's so real. Like, just wanting to sleep and being, like, woken up by them. Yeah. Lots of childhood memories there that you just unlocked.
Yeah. Nice.
Really, I was just excited to hear you talk about your travels so far, and you've already rattled off the list.
Yeah.
I guess to start off with, what's the process of researching and planning look like for you, and what made you choose those destinations?
I feel like some of them were just convenience because Switzerland, that was 3 hours away to drive.
Yeah.
So we can just go for the weekend, for like a long weekend for 3 days or something. Same with Brussels, and France is really close too. We chose Dublin because we've always loved like the vibe of Irish bars and just Irish people in general.
So cool.
So that's why we chose Dublin, and it was so much fun. And the people were so cool and so nice. We went to a tour of the Guinness brewery, which was just like a really cool, it was like somewhat interactive, but it was more the way they made it so like aesthetically interesting, I guess. That's a really bad way. You just have to see it, I guess. But it was really neat. And then we also went to a distillery called Roe and Co.
Oh my gosh.
So we wanted to get merch, but Mike got like a jacket that says Roe and Co., but they didn't have a whole lot of merch, which was kind of a bummer. So Roe and Co., if you're listening to this, I want better merch.
No, but this gets to them.
It was really cool. We just had some cocktails there, and then we got some like a coaster and some stuff like that.
So cool. So like you had to have some awesome like whiskey then, or what did you go for?
We got like some random cocktails that were very like fancy, like with foam and
Yeah.
they had like whiskey in them, but we didn't do a whiskey tasting or anything. To be completely honest, I think we were probably a little hungover and had Guinness already that day. So we were like, we do not need to do a whiskey flight yet. It's like 2 p.m.
That is wise.
So we did not, but we've had that whiskey before when we lived in California randomly. So.
Oh, cool.
And then
yeah.
Oslo we chose because one of his grandparents came to the US from Norway, and he's always wanted to go to Norway. So
That's awesome.
we went to Oslo. Oslo was beautiful. It was so clean. The people are so nice. It was actually not really that cold. Everyone was like, oh, be careful. It's going to be really cold. I'm like, listen, I'm from Nebraska. Mike's from South Dakota. We're going to be fine. And it wasn't that
Thanks
bad.
for your concern.
We walked everywhere. It was fine.
That's
There's not
so
bad
cool.
weather. There's just bad clothing.
Exactly. Yes.
What was the other part of your question? Like the process?
Putting together your itinerary and like finding cool stuff to do.
So Mike handles the logistics of like the plane ticket, and he'll kind of look at transportation. What's public transportation like? Which we almost always take public transportation, or we just walk. We like going places that are walkable.
Yeah.
And then I do a lot of research on Pinterest, like do's and don'ts of Dublin, or tourist traps or things you want to avoid, things like that.
Yeah.
And then I also will get on like TikTok, actually, and I will look at foodies and what different restaurants are recommended in certain cities and things, and then go look at the menu. And then I usually make a note section on my phone and share it with Mike, and it's like must-do restaurants, must-see sightseeing.
Yes.
Then we kind of choose what day we're going to do what things. So
nice.
I don't know if it's the most strategic way to do it, but it works for us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like it's just, there's kind of these major sort of goals or whatever that you need to accomplish. And it's like, however you do it is up to you. Like, whatever works best for you is the best way to do it, you know?
Right.
So.
And then we have things that it's like, we must do this XYZ. And then if we have extra time, we can do these other things too. But that way we make sure we knock out the things we for sure want to do and see, or the places we want to eat,
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty close to how I do it too. Picking out, good beer cities is usually kind of our main thing, and then finding good restaurants, finding good like outdoorsy things to do, or like climbing gyms. So
yeah, we always have a list of like pubs to visit too. And
hell yes.
in Switzerland, we went to. It was called Mana. Is that how you pronounce it? Like the one in Lincoln? And you had the founder on the podcast, right?
Yeah, she pronounced it Mana.
Mana, okay.
I feel like it's like, I don't know, the word itself can be pronounced multiple ways, I feel like.
Okay, I wasn't sure. But it was called Mana. And we played Wingspan, and they only had it in German.
That is so
And we
cool.
were like, do we try it? And it turns out we played the game so much that we did have to use Google Translate for some of the cards, but then we started to remember if this bird's over 75 centimeter wingspan, tuck the card. Like, okay, we can do this. We got it. So that was a really cool like little cafe pub. They had like bean bags that you could sit on and all kinds of games. And yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I didn't realize that one was also called Mana. Like, that is so cool.
Yeah. And that's how
perfect.
I think that's how I found it. I put in like cat cafe, because anywhere we go, I try to find a cat cafe.
Yes, absolutely.
And they didn't have that, but for some reason, I don't know if they were like, oh, you're into like themed bars or themed cafes. So they gave me a recommendation for this board game bar. But
have you found any cat cafes yet? Because that's also something I look out for.
No. I think there might have been one when we went to Nuremberg like a year and a half ago, but we were there for Christmas and it wasn't open. So no, we have not gone to one yet. But Catania in Sicily, where we're going next, I guess the island just has a bunch of cats on the island. And our friends that we're staying with, they're from my hometown, but they live there. They've already adopted one cat off the street there. They had a cat already, cute. And then they've adopted one, and they've lived there like a year and a half. So,
oh my god,
they might end up with more. But
precious. Yeah, so I hope that works out. Well, and you just went to the zoo in Switzerland.
Yes.
So yeah, what was that like? You said it was like kind of neck and neck with the Henry Dorley Zoo in Omaha, which is a world-class zoo.
Yes, I still think Henry Dorley is better. And I
Mm.
could probably go to any zoo and still say that Henry Dorley is better.
Right.
But this one was really beautiful. Like the layout is almost kind of like you walk up, it's like levels, sort of. You feel like it's levels because it's like on a hill.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
so it was really easy to get around, and the exhibits were just really pretty. I feel like you could see everything. You know, some zoos you go to and like animals need their privacy. I get that. But you also are like, oh, I can't see anything, you know, certain times a day, whatever. We saw like everything there. We were really close to,
Oh, that's awesome.
I think it might've been a jaguar. And then there was a snow leopard,
Oh,
but the snow leopard was sleeping. So you couldn't
yeah.
really like, if it would have been awake, it would have been really close. And then we sat and watched the gorillas for probably 30 minutes because they had it like amphitheater style with all their
Yeah.
enclosures, and you could just, everybody was just sitting and watching. So that was really, really cool.
Yes. Did you have any other like fun highlights from your Switzerland visit then?
The first night we went there, we ended up at a Viking themed metal bar.
Oh my
And
gosh,
that was
that's incredible.
super, super fun. And that was honestly, like, no one there was, no one in Switzerland was unfriendly. People were just kind of just doing their own thing, you know, which is fine. And that's also kind of German thing. It was right across the border from Germany, so I get it. But that bar was where people were actually the most welcoming and most friendly.
Oh,
You walk
I
in
love
and there's just
that
screamo
community.
music, and like
Yes.
I tried to get into, there wasn't really a mosh pit, just a little pit with like people dancing. And I tried to get in there, and someone like kind of in a friendly way pushed me out. And it was like, and some girl caught me. I'm like, thank you for taking care of me.
That is so wholesome.
Yeah. So we had a lot of fun at that bar.
Nice. My experience in Switzerland, I was like on the French speaking side, so I feel like I got a lot more snobby people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of sad that it just so happened. So when I went on my work conference back at last September, it was in Geneva. It was really, really cool. But yeah, just roll the dice. It's like, oh, this is in an area that I don't speak the language versus a lot of Switzerland is German speaking.
Right.
So I was a little bummed about that. I probably should have brushed up a bit on French, but I just thought, I was like, I'm here for a work trip. Like, I don't need that much. Like, I'm there to work, and like, I'll try to have cool experiences when I can. That did like hold me back a bit. And
French is hard.
It is.
I think French is really difficult.
Yeah, they seemed, I mean, I don't blame people, but I did get a pretty unfriendly vibe most of the time.
Yeah,
So
I have heard that the French are a little more snobby about that, about wanting you to at least try. And then even when you do, if you don't do a great job, they're not going to be very happy about that either.
Yeah. I mean, when I did try, then like people were, I think, a little nicer. But I'm just like, I don't even know if I want to try because
it's scary.
I know all of like a dozen words. Like,
so. Yeah, I know how to say thank you and hello. I'm pretty sure that's all I know how to say.
Of course, I had Swiss fondue, and I ended up having it twice. Because, you know, when I was researching for one of the dinners, I was like, okay, like, let's go to this place. And so, yes, of course, had to have a fondue. And then my boss got raclette, and, you know, I just enjoyed that. And then, of course, a couple days later, it's like, oh, hey, we're getting grouped together. We're going to go to a fondue place. And fortunately, it was different. It was a totally different place. It was like on a pier, like, because it's called Lake Geneva. It was like out there. So like, that was really, really cool. And it was different food, but I was like,
yeah,
I am made up of cheese now.
Yeah, as you should. Yeah. Whenever we went to Dublin, we went to one restaurant that had like a beef stew. I had beef stew and Mike had shepherd's pie. And we went back to the same restaurant the day, like we had it the day we got there, and then we went back the day we left because it was that good. And I'm sure they had other places that were just as good, if not better.
Right.
But it was just delicious food.
Oh man, I love those spots that are like so good that if you're on a trip, you just have to go there multiple times before you leave.
Yeah, and they were a microbrewery too, so they had really good beer.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. I also wanted to see, what are some of your favorite foods that you've had? And you kind of already got to talk about the Dublin place, so that's an awesome addition to the list too.
I guess this kind of goes into planning our trips. Something I always look for is ramen in every city.
Ooh,
because we
yes.
love ramen. So everywhere we go, we try to find a ramen restaurant. Had some really good ramen. Something else that I've experienced that was really surprising to me as a Midwesterner.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, did you have goulash?
At the school, so I
Okay,
don't have a
so
good experience.
it's like a big, like what I grew up having, which I still really like this dish. It's very Midwestern.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the big elbow macaroni and canned
Mm-hmm.
tomatoes and ground beef, essentially.
Yep.
And when I moved
Yes.
to Germany, I noticed a lot of menus, a certain time of year, they have goulash suppe, like goulash soup.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, so it's like goulash. I'm thinking Midwest goulash, but in like a tomato soup.
Yeah.
And it is not that. It is something completely different, but it is so good. It's like a beef stew kind of, and the meat, it's like a stew meat, like beef, but it just falls apart. It's slow cooked. There's carrots. It's like a
Oh my
savory,
goodness.
stewy kind of thick broth. It is so good.
That sounds incredible.
The first time I had it, I ordered a second bowl. And I haven't attempted
Like
to
to
make
go,
it
or did you
yet.
just have it there?
I just had it there. I was like, do you have this made already? Probably. Yeah. I'm like, I would just love another bowl, please. This is the best thing
Seconds.
I've ever
I
had.
love that.
It was so good.
Oh,
And I
yum.
need to try to make it sometime because I have some recipes.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh.
but yeah, that was just a fun kind of discovery for me, a
Yes.
food that I grew up with, and then how it's called the same thing, but it's something completely different.
Mm-mm.
And I actually think it might be Hungarian. It's like Hungarian goulash is
Yeah,
what
I
the
think
soup
that's
is.
right. That makes sense.
But
Yeah,
it's very
yeah.
popular here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you should definitely try to make that. Let me know how it goes. So,
I will.
in April, I'm actually teaching a class. So like East Campus has this like series where you share some like international dishes that like maybe it's
Oh,
connected to your heritage, maybe you lived there, maybe you studied that culture. So since I've been to Germany and I have a lot of German heritage, and hopefully I'll be going back next
yes,
year to see
please.
you. So I was like, yeah, I really want to share some dishes that I like learned how to cook this from a German woman, and just want to like share this with people because it's really special. So I'm making schnitzel,
Yes.
of course, have to do that.
Yum.
And then like some salads. But when you're talking about goulash, it kind of reminded me because one of them I'm doing is potato salad. And it's like, of course, in the Midwest, we have that like everywhere. But it's like, yeah, so how is it? How is this one in this German potato salad like different?
Mm-hmm.
Showing people that and diving a little bit into like the history and culture and significance. So I'm really excited to share that with people.
That sounds so cool. So I have to ask, with the potato salad, are you going to do it warm with kind of like the vinegar style? That's like the kind that I've had here.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the mayo and the mustard and stuff. It's not creamy like that.
Yeah, I think I was gonna go that direction.
Yeah.
Because that one's like kind of like the popular, like it's like the Swabian. At least that was from my research what I saw. But
Yeah. That's probably right. I don't know.
it's like I was kind of just like learning the process and not like learning any of the backstory. So now I get to like dig more into
Yeah.
that side of it, so I can like share it with people in a somewhat informed way. So,
That sounds cool. You should send me if there's like a link on that. I'm just curious to learn more about that course.
yeah,
Side note,
yeah, for sure.
Side note, I'm curious because I want to know if they're offering native food in it. And I'm like, if not, they need to have
that'd be
someone do
cool.
that,
I know, yeah, and it's really kind of just like somebody who knows about it, like volunteers
Right.
to share, because I'm not sure what else is lined up for the spring yet. But yeah, it seems like there's been a good variety.
That sounds like such a fun time.
I know, it's just like a fun like community, like learning from other people and getting to like share good food together kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that. Keep me updated for sure.
Yeah,
That sounds fun.
Oh, and I also wanted to for the listeners provide like a little context. So I got to go to Germany in 2017, and it was really really cool. Seeing some friends, and so I got to stay a little bit in Nuremberg and Bamberg and some random little like they're called dorfs or like villages. At least like I think traveling around, I can't quite remember, but yeah, just like kind of getting to see a few of those on my travels too. When I was in Bamberg, I did get to have smoked beer because that's what that city's famous
Ooh.
for.
So
that's pretty cool.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's called Rauch beer.
Okay, actually, I have heard of that.
Yeah.
But I've never tried it though.
Yes, yes. So you had to try that. When I was there, I was not into beer yet. And so I tried that and I was like, oh, this is weird. It tastes like ham beer. Now I have had like, in Nebraska, there's been breweries that have done that style and I really like it now, but I had to like develop the palate first. So
I think something
yeah.
different that people don't maybe know about Germany and like beer and beer culture, I guess, is
Mm-hmm.
there's not 20, 50 different options of beer in Germany. It's
Yeah.
usually like a wheat beer or sometimes a Dunkel or with
Mm-hmm.
a dark beer or a Pils. And if you
Right.
order just a beer, you're going to get a Pils. So sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
do miss, and that's whenever we go to different cities and there's breweries, we're like, yes, let's go get like an IPA or something, I don't know, something different,
Yeah.
because we do miss being able to go try different beers or like get flights of different beers. But
Mm-hmm.
also, I do love in Germany how cheap the beer is. Like
Yes.
the basic, I guess, beers that they have here. And I am a Miller Lite girl through and through. I always will be. But when I want to actually drink good beer, I cannot deny that the German quote unquote basic beers are much better than like the Busch Light, the Miller Lite, things like that.
Right.
Which most beers are, I know. But I've never met a beer I didn't like. So anyway.
Yeah. I know. It's just really cool in Germany that there is like that much history tied into it
Yeah.
and that these places have been brewing the exact same way for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So getting to like engage with it and like just I don't know, just like think about those things is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's like a fun experience, and it's fun to do that with people too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It turns it into, it's not just drinking a beer, it's like an experience. I don't know if that makes sense. You know what I mean.
It does. So last time we talked, you were kind of like talking about the like slower pace of life in Europe. So do you feel like you've been able to like settle into that and appreciate like a slower pace more than
Yes,
versus fast pace of America?
absolutely. And I love it. It's going to be really hard whenever we have to leave and move away from that,
Oh
because
gosh.
since I work part time, I don't really have to start my workday. I mean, I can start my workday at any time if I want. I don't really have set
Mm-hmm.
hours, but I usually will start around between 1 and 2 p.m.
Oh,
So
that's
after I
awesome.
wake up, I have my coffee and I read, or sometimes I go on a walk, or I'm doing a latch hook project right now, which is going to take me 10
Ooh.
years. But I do that and I have coffee or my little tea. And I don't know, it feels very like cottage core. I also have never been
Yes.
a baker, really. I like to cook,
Mm-hmm.
but I've never
Mm-hmm.
been a baker. Mostly because I don't enjoy sweets. I like salt.
Yeah.
But my husband likes sweets. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the store today and get stuff for blueberry muffins and just see how this goes, because I have the time to do it and I can experiment
Yeah.
with baking and see how it goes. So it's just really fun to be able to do that. And I've always lived a fast lifestyle in the sense that I'm like always putting pressure on myself to like do something at all
Yeah.
times. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm kind of taking this time that might be the only time in my life to work part time and explore hobbies and interests and things like that. So it has been so, so nice. And I also realize like how lucky I am to be able to do that,
Yeah.
and that it works for our family to do that. But
That's amazing
yeah,
though. Mm.
I love
But
it.
yeah, soak it in.
And I've learned how to navigate the trains a little bit better.
Ooh, that's
So
good.
I have taken the trains to other villages before. I'm still not 100% confident whenever you have to switch trains and things like that. But
Oh my gosh, I know.
yeah, it is not self-explanatory, really. Maybe
Yeah.
it is if you grew up doing it, but anyway,
Right,
I've
right.
gotten used to that, and it feels very like, there's just some days where I'm like, oh man, this is like, I really do live in Germany. I'm on the train, I'm
Mm.
going to a cafe,
Oh,
like
oh man, you're so self-sufficient.
yeah, well,
Such an adventure.
I try to be.
That's awesome. And you mentioned like not really liking sweets. So have you gotten into like German Kuchen yet? Like the German version of cake?
No, but Mike has actually had that. I wish I knew the story, but he grew up with that.
Oh,
I
interesting.
want to say like the side of his mom's
Mm-hmm.
family or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've tried it. It's good. I don't have a palate for sweet stuff. I just always want like chips
Fair.
or
Mhm.
like a meat stick or Or
Yeah.
like spaghetti tomato sauce,
No, that makes sense.
like umami ramen, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that makes sense. And that's okay. Everybody can have their own
Yep.
preferences. So just thought I would check. I didn't know if it was like the fact that it's just like American stuff is so sweet that it's like, oh, maybe if it's like a little less sweet. But
No, it's just me. I'm just I'm just weird.
I also wanted to just talk about what's next on your travel list. And you mentioned Italy.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. When do you say you're going?
We're going only for 2.5 days in April.
Okay.
So it's gonna be like try to do as much as we can in those 2.5 days. But one of
Yeah.
my childhood friends, his mom and my mom were really good friends. We kind of grew up together a little bit. He and his wife live there. So we're going to go see them. They have 2 cats. I don't have a lot of details on that yet because we literally just got the tickets like 3 hours ago.
Oh my gosh.
So that just
New
happened today.
development.
Yeah. But I think it's going to involve a day trip to Taormina. I'm probably not
Okay.
saying that right.
I'm not familiar. Sorry, I don't know Italy.
I don't really either. I know that I'm going to be eating a lot of pasta and drinking, I don't know how to say this, limoncello. Is that how you
Oh
say it?
yeah. I'm at
Limoncello.
least familiar with that. That's awesome.
Yes. And it's going to be like 77. Okay, I don't know why I said 77 specifically. It's going to be like in the 70s probably though.
Wouldn't that be like crazy if you like got there and that's how warm it was?
But anyway, it's supposed to be like in the 60s to 70s whenever we're there. So it's
Okay,
going to be
yeah.
beautiful
Oh my
outside.
goodness.
And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
And it's really cool that you've gotten to experience California, like Napa Valley wine culture, and now you can like maybe get a little bit of sense of Italian wine culture too.
Yeah, which I don't know a lot about Italian wine
I don't either.
because in California it's a lot of it's a lot of Cabernet in California, which I love. But
Yes.
hopefully we'll get to do like a wine tasting or something, like a Italian
That'd
red
be
wine
awesome.
tasting. That would be amazing.
Yes, definitely report
I
back. Do you
will.
have any other trips that are like on your wish list or anything you like want to get to before you
Yeah.
are done living in Germany?
We have kind of a bucket list, and one of the things so one of our friends loves Prague, and we could take the train and be there in 5 hours. So that is
Oh my
something
gosh.
I think we really need to consider doing that the next time we have a longer amount of time.
That would be amazing.
But in July, we're going to be back in the States visiting family. So
Yay.
usually in July, we have a couple weeks off, or Mike does. But we're going to take that time this year to come to the US because he hasn't been home since we moved here. And for me, it will have been like a year and a half since I'd been home. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
so it's time. But the next time we have time in Europe, long story short, we want to go to Prague.
So when you're in the States for an extended period of time, who's going to be watching over Max?
Our landlord's daughter, she's in college
nice.
and she lives like right up the road. And she adores Max. She adores him. So we have her come over and she just like brings her Switch and hangs out on the couch with Max. And he loves her.
Perfect.
And whenever I ask her, hey, are you going to be in town whatever day? She's like, yes, I can't wait. So we'll probably have her watch Max.
So cute.
And she can just come down, like she's right up the road. So he doesn't have to go to someone's house. We don't really want to make him do that. So he'll be well taken care of.
Yeah, no, that's
and
good
loved.
too. I'm glad Max is thriving.
Yep.
Any other updates that you wanted to share with us or anything else you wanted to like bring up about like what you've learned about living in Germany?
Oh, I wanted to mention that I have went to a few soccer games. So the city that we're by is Kaiserslautern. And I've went to a few of their games. I still don't really understand soccer that well, I'm not going to lie. But the environment is so fun, and I feel like it's as close to a Husker game as I'm going to get here. And I have so much fun at those games.
That's awesome.
And the tickets are so cheap, too. So.
Cool. Yeah, I know it's huge there. I've not gotten the opportunity to do that, but it does sound like a really cool experience.
Well, if you can come visit, I'll take you to a soccer game.
Yay!
Actually, a football game, not a soccer game. Sorry.
Yeah,
they're a lot of fun, though.
That makes me excited. Sports is something I don't really follow a lot.
Me
but
neither.
For me, I think my favorite is that I love Husker volleyball and I love going to those games. So I think as long as it's like I don't know, hanging out with cool people and watching a cool local team. That's something I can get into.
Well, and it's like the whole time you're engaging in it because there's different chants you're learning and they're in German. So then you have to like practice your German. And if you sit in the right spot, you're not sitting down at all. Like you're up the whole time. And yeah, it's very enjoyable. I'm not really like, I don't understand football still. I love a Husker football game. I think they're amazing, but I still don't really understand it, to be honest. But I can appreciate like the atmosphere mostly is what I really like. Yeah.
For sure.
Stimmung. I think that's how you say atmosphere.
I am so behind. So with Duolingo, I have just been boycotting them like since the day I learned that they use AI now.
I know.
So I'll have to see if there's any good alternates or if I just have to like suck it up.
I've heard Babbel is good.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to look into.
Or sometimes Mango you can get through your library card.
Ooh,
so maybe try that one too.
With that, it is time for the recurring ending segment of Nerdlandia, current favorites. What's your favorite thing at the moment, Molly? I love the dance you have.
My favorite thing is right now it is carnival season, also known as, I think it's pronounced Fasching.
Oh, cool.
And it's basically like Mardi Gras, but in Germany. So there are parades and costumes and partying. Music and like just these huge parades. And I think the idea from the research, at least that I did, is it's kind of like scaring away the winter with your costumes and your like loud noise and celebration.
Yes.
So Mike is playing with the band. Tomorrow he's going to Mainz, which is tomorrow's Rosenmontag, which is Rose Monday, and it's like the biggest day for carnival season for Fasching parades.
Cool.
So he's playing in that one, and then he's playing in one this Tuesday, and I'm going to go to that one, and I will be wearing a Triceratops onesie that is neon, and it is neon tie-dye green.
Yeah, that's the exact way to scare off the winter.
And glitter and like all kinds of, it's going to be a lot of fun. So
that sounds extremely German of like, we just gotta like yell loud enough and winter will retreat.
Any reason to celebrate, honestly. That's what I've learned about Germans. They love any reason to celebrate, so.
That's awesome. And then you did mention before that you're getting into latch hook. Like, it's like a rug that you're working on?
Yeah, it's a rug with like really cool, almost like boho butterflies. And I say boho just because some of the like designs in the wings are really cool. And it's like purple and neon orange. And it's a really cool design. But it is pretty big. And I only like to do one line at a time. So it's going to take me, it'll take me some time. But it's just a fun thing to put a podcast on and work on. It's kind of mindless.
I'm hoping the winter retreats too. I've been trying to get more into biking again, but Nebraska spring is like famously a shit show. So we'll see how this goes. So Jared and I have been doing this thing called Trailathon, and it's like the Lincoln Great Plains Trails Network is putting it on. So each month we get to like check out a different trail or a couple of trails that they have, and they're like, you know, all connected, and it's kind of just a fun way to like experience things differently because we're like super familiar with it, but we've never done it quite in that way before. I think I've mentioned this, but I'm just really not much of a winter cyclist, so I am excited for spring, but then I'm also like, Nebraska, get your shit together. So.
I hate to say this, but it's the beginning of March. There'll probably be like one more crazy, maybe weather event. Like,
and that's totally.
I hope not for your sake because it's been not a great winter.
Yep.
It's just it never fails when you think, oh, spring's finally coming, and then there's like one last blizzard.
Oh yeah, no, I'm very prepared for that too. Yeah. So don't worry, I'm not under the impression that it's gonna keep going up and up from here.
Yeah. But it is coming. Spring is coming.
Yes, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking with us today. It's awesome to hear that you're settling in and you've been able to do some really, really cool trips. Hope you have an amazing time in Italy next month.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on the podcast.
Again. Molly is the best, and it means so much to me that this podcast could serve as a means of connection while she's living so far away. I'm already starting to plan my visit to see her next year, and I guess I'm gonna go to a football game. Thanks for tuning in to this very special follow-up conversation. Next episode, we're talking with Mackenzie, the director of Brave Animal Rescue in Lincoln. See you then. Nerdlandia is hosted, produced, and edited by Emily Case Buskirk. Theme song and ending credit music by Keith West. Cover art by Ellen Stubbings. Additional music from Pixabay. I feel like it can be kind of hard to find cat cafes.
Yeah.
Because I've been to one in Omaha once. When I was there, side story, this guy was like kind of like hogging the like optimal spot.
Rude.
I know.
Everybody
and, like,
wants
all
a
the-
chance.
Yeah, everybody wants a chance to like cuddle with the adorable kittens. Like, come on, buddy. Gosh.
That's like
anyway,
when you go to the
sorry.
zoo and somebody stands at the like tank like right in the middle of the aquarium and never moves. And I'm like, I would
Yeah.
also like to see the octopus. If you could just scoot back a little, you know? It's rude.